Hello, my darklings, lightlings, everyone in between, and of course, hybrids, ETs, you're all welcome here too. I know you exist. I am one. Alright, so I saw over on Carl Astrology a really fun tag, and I was like, you know what, I haven't done that one. I got some pretty cool stuff to share, so why not, right? It is the hashtag 9things VR to She Walks with Beauty. I guess it's kind of an older tag, but I'm just aware of it. I think Carla was just aware of it, so go check hers out, and I guess everyone else, and let's revive it if you haven't done it. So, before we get into it, I want to remind you Finding Destiny Bloodline Sagas and Accepting Fate Bloodline Sagas is now on Kindle Unlimited. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. Also, I am offering some interesting readings on my Ko-fi. The link will be in the description if you are interested, including some past life readings where I incorporate my art. The visions that I get during the reading for you in my head will be drawn for you. Yeah, I mean, check it out. It's pretty cool stuff. All right, anyway. Let's get into this cool tag. I do have some special, or it's special to me, stuff to share with you in this. So, yeah. The first question is something someone doesn't know about you. Well, there's a lot of some things, but I think I'll just say I'm actually quite sensitive, very sensitive, very, very sensitive and emotional, and extremely compassionate. I just don't like to show these things much, you know. Gotta appear tough at all times. Also, I don't really go telling the entire world, but I am an abuse survivor. Yes. Multiple types from early childhood up. So, multiple different instances. And, yeah, I don't want to go into too much detail, but just thought I'd share that because not too many people know. And if you are as well, hey, stay strong. You survived, man. You're a fucking warrior. All right, question 2. Card and tarot that best fits you. I chose, it's one of two. The Devil, because excess pleasures. I'm very much into what feels good and how to feel good constantly, and I can get excessive at times with that. I enjoy foods, I enjoy sex, I enjoy many things. Used to some things that could get me in trouble, but I'm over that. Yeah, been sober now for many years, and I'm proud of that accomplishment. But also, the devil can represent feelings of like being restricted or constrained by forces, and to me, those forces are me combined with the world. I am my own worst enemy in most cases, and definitely restrict myself. I feel like I constantly have multiple forces battling inside of me, so it made me think of the devil. Also, death. I wasn't sure which one to pick because I feel like I'm always ending and beginning something new so erratically. And not only that personally, and even in my practice, but in my life as well. Constant change, constant movement, constant endings, as far back as I can remember. And 3. What is a song from a soundtrack that fits your life? I have many, but probably a couple of the main ones. I would choose. All right, we'll just narrow it to 3. Sober from Tool, AFI, the Leaving Song 1, and that is because I'm even the villain or the good guy. and have been seen as such, but I've also seen others as villains in those situations where I could have been the villain as well. I don't know if you know what I'm trying to say there. But the song's lyrics hit me deeply because also feeling like a black sheep, a lot of your life with people you come into contact with, or one of the parts in that song is walked away, heard them say, poisoned hearts will never change. And I definitely feel like I've been looked at like that, not only because of spiritual practices and like the way I dress, but because there are many times where I feel like people will push you and push you, but then when you show your ass, that's when they're like, ah, see, they're the bad guy. They're the bad guy. I told you so. And then it pisses you off even more when people believe it and you're like, yeah, but they just literally spent the last few years antagonizing me. Not in all cases. I've definitely been an asshole too in life, but I'm just saying. I think we've all been there, right? Also, my name is Human, highly suspect, and that is because from a young age, again, I've always felt that way. I knew something wasn't right with the world. I felt it was so unjust. I felt like something was going on, and from like middle school up, I was into conspiracy, all kinds of stuff, and I just felt, I mean, the song speaks for itself, okay? All right, so four, childhood or adult crush. Okay, so I am bisexual. I'm gonna pick two women, two men here. Okay, so definitely Angelina Jolie. Okay, recently it had become Catherine Winnick. We all know her, Lagatha, Vikings, gorgeous woman. And as I think I was, what, 13-ish, 14 maybe? Maybe I was a little older. I can't remember when it came out. Charlie Hunnam, but not like Sons of Anarchy. Charlie Hunnam, I know a lot of people know him from that show. But it was Charlie Hunnam in that movie Green Street Hooligans. Like, that was my complete uh, teen crush. Maybe I have a thing with accents, who knows? Because the other one was Stuart Townsend, especially after Queen of the Damned. Um, yeah, accents, I don't know what it is. Alright, number five, a book that changed my life. There were many, but far back as I can remember, oh, what grade was I in? I don't know, maybe seventh grade, something like that. I picked up a book of a bunch of Edgar Allan Poe, and I know goth girl Edgar Allan Poe sounds like a cliche, but hear me out a bit. I picked up a book of his stories and poems, and it was like a combination of all of them in one. And I was reading through them, and I really loved them. But then I got to the story The Cat, and someone who's a diehard cat lover, that really stung to read. It shocked me. But then I remember thinking, this is so real. It's humanity. This is where, and not just the cat, but the other dark ones. I was like, this is things that I think it's more symbolic for our psyche as humanity, and dark places the world can take us, or where pain can drive us, or I think that was the overall messages in them personally, how I interpreted it. Um, just that there's much darkness in the world, and we could be driven to that psychologically. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Hopefully that made sense to you guys. I also remember reading He Came to Set the Captives Free, and I know it's a Christian book. I read this, a teacher gave it to me actually. This was high school, probably ninth or 10th grade, and he was like, you want to read this? Because the whole town thought, at the time I was just this satanic, culty freak, nobody else was dressed like me, and I just, yeah, that's a whole nother story. But he wasn't mean to me at all. And he was just like, hey, can you do me a favor? And I'm like, yeah, it was after class. And he hands me that book and he goes, look, I'm a Christian. He goes, but I want to know, does this stuff truly exist? And he goes, can you read this and come back and talk to me about it? Because I just have a feeling you would know. And he's like, it isn't anything to do with like what people say about you. And I'm like, well, it probably is a little. I'll give it a read. And he's like, yeah, okay. So he admitted, a little bit, but he just also had this feeling I might know. So the book is about a girl who was born into Satanism, and they did things with her blood and such, and how she had multiple demons that possessed and helped her out throughout her childhood, how witches would have battles with them, and so on and so forth. Um, but it really kind of painted a lot of Satanism in the typical light that, the satanic panic you would hear. Uh, I did end up thinking it was interesting and an intriguing story. However, there were some things in there that I had experienced or witnessed, not through the practice of Satanism, because at the time I was into the occult, but it wasn't, that side of the occult. Uh, oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, so I take it back and I tell him, yeah, these are some things that I've experienced, and I saw this or that at one point, and I believe that to be true, but I did say I couldn't comment on the rest of it, and that I did think some of it was like propaganda or not completely true, but who am I to say someone else's truth is wrong? Whatevs. But it's an interesting book. Uh, it didn't really like change my life, but it did make me feel somewhat useful in a world of a bunch of teachers or students every day, being dicks over it. To have somebody interested in what like I had to say about the occult in a positive way without really judging me, if that made sense. So yeah, the next question is something you wish you could bring back. Um, Gigapets. No, I'm just kidding. Um, probably past life stuff. Just to experience why I'm so hung up on these eras. I know that mainstream media or movies or whatever doesn't really fully depict these time eras, and I have had dreams or memories of them and really wished I could remember fully or experience it consciously, right now, because I want to know, I'm curious. But the Victorian era, from gosh, a very young age, it always felt right to me. I always looked around and I'm like, why are we not wearing top hats, corsets, and like long coats and all this stuff? Why are we not in horse and buggies? Why, and I always had kind of this when it came to the Industrial Revolution, like, no, no, we shouldn't have. Although it did lead to a lot of positives, I think it also separated us from something long and lost between worlds, if that makes sense too. Also, I'd love to experience the true Viking era. I don't typically believe everything in history, but that would be cool. Or Lemuria. So, 7. What do you want to leave in this world? Well, here's the special thing I have to show you guys. Okay, so I have a whole stack I found when my family had passed away recently, the last year, or it feels recent, well, yeah, December was the last one. So when my oldest son was born, that made the fifth generation still alive on the Swedish and Denmark side of the family, my grandmother's, my mom's side. And I thought that was awesome. And what they left me, well, that I found was a whole stack, not only on that side, but my dad, who passed away, side as well, for my brother. And it's just a treasure, a gold mine to me, because I was like, oh my gosh, this is everyone's legacy is up to 5 generations back. Like, how lucky. And I think I'm going to add to it, design a really huge book, and we're going to give it to our kids, and have them add to it, and so on and so forth. So if my son is the fifth generation, was still living at the time that his great great grandmother was still alive, uh, I think it would be cool. Not many people, I guess, get that opportunity. I mean, everybody now looking at ancestry and stuff for their ancestors, so my great 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 grandkids can potentially look back and see me, see their great grandmothers, and so on and so forth. There were pictures here so old. This was my mother and my Aunt Elaine, who recently had passed last year. My grandmother had buried all her children, by the way, before she went in December on my son's birthday. This was my mother and my Aunt Sherry on my father's side. I still speak with her. She's wonderful. My Aunt Elaine, she passed. It was my mother's sister. This was my Grandpa Terry. Now, my Grandpa Terry and my Uncle Dan, my mother's brother. This was my mother's brother as a child. And my Grandpa Terry, they both passed away together when I was 3. I seen it, and I still remember it. We all went swimming one day, and the dam let out, and it was sweep my uncle under the water, and I can still hear him screaming, help. I was in my grandmother's arms, and her husband, my grandpa, jumped in to save him, and they both passed. And then last year she had to bury my mama and my Aunt Elaine. So, and then she went last, which was surprising. Now, my grandmother's mom, my Grandma Miles, who was still alive when my son was born, she was still alive. Gosh, I think she hit 100, something like that. And that was her husband. And the grandmother I speak of, right here, I think this picture is beautiful of her. This was her wedding some time ago. This was also her wedding with all 3 of her children way back in the day. This was her and my Aunt Elaine when they were younger. And this was my grandmother Miles, her mother, so my great-great-grandmother, and my grandma at my grandmother's wedding. And y'all want to see a picture of me when I was little? Yeah, I hate this, but just thought I'd show you. Yeah, dresses. And then my biological father, the Native American, he's me when I was a baby. I feel so exposed right now. And then my dad, he raised me. He was a special man, let me tell you. He passed away too on Samhain's Eve last year. So, this was a thing of memories. My mother, she was a nurse at the hospitals, and I followed in her field. She actually trained me, but these are photos from, she was taking care of a gentleman with cancer, and I won't reveal his name, but that was her and the gentleman. It made the paper because he said his last wish was to have a helicopter ride. So my mother got together with a lot of other nurses there in the DON, which I knew, a friend of mine's mom. and they made this man's last wish come true. And that was like a big thing. My mother was that type of person. And there's so much more, but of course, we'd be here all day. And I wanted to share that because it's special, and that's what I want to leave behind is my family's legacy for the generations to come. So they have no questions about who we were. So we're not forgotten. And I think there's some beauty in that. Not just digital, because it could be lost, but physical evidence. The last thing that I bought is number 8, my Ouija board and a new bra. And number 9, the last one, my rapper name, Lil, and the last thing I drank. Lil Monster. Yep. Actually, accurate. Alright, guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and much love to you. I think one of our next videos will be actually a history of Ouija boards and some interesting stuff about them, and then we'll continue with Inky and the dreams too. I love you all. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you soon.